right. Hey, everybody. We'll go ahead and get started, and hopefully some more people will be joining us soon. So welcome, everybody. My name is Megan Heaphy. I am the project coordinator for the Rural Teacher Training Initiative. I work with Kristen, who's also on here in the Georgia Bioed Institute. So we are here, as well as Christina Forbes and Ryan Brooks. They are not on camera right now, but so we are the staff. We are here to help you guys. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to any of us. So thank you guys for participating in the spring mentor session, mentor program. So today we're starting the professional development sessions with Ms. Christina Mosteller Hall, who will be helping us today. So we will do a little bit of background on expectations, and then do some intros, and then we'll get started on the CV session. So I hope everybody received the email that I sent out on Friday with a little bit of the background, but just to kind of go over the high points, please remember that we ask that you attend at least 2 of the 4 sessions live. We know that stuff happens, so we're not requiring all of them live, but at least 2 so that we have participation. And please watch the other sessions on your own if you miss it. So after each session, I'll send out a form stack survey for you to submit your deliverables. And I gave you guys the deadlines for those deliverables in the email on Friday. If you have any questions about those, please feel free to reach out. Let's see. If you go on the website, the ELN Mentor Program website, maybe Kristen can drop that in the chat. You can watch the recordings from last time's sessions. So in the fall, we had a few sessions, including one on resume writing. So if you are more interested in resumes than CVs, you may want to check that one out after today's session. Let's see. So later this week, I will send out some information to you guys about the different mentors that have signed up for this program. And you'll receive a survey to basically rank who your preferences for mentors will be, and we'll work our best to make sure that we accommodate your preferences. That and some of the sessions that we'll have are based on feedback from last round's program. So we will send out a feedback survey at the end of these professional development sessions asking for your feedback on these. So feel free to leave feedback before then if you have any. Let's see. So the other reason that we're condensing these sessions, last time we offered them in 4 consecutive weeks, we are having the career fair on Friday, May 14th. So I'll send out a link for you guys to register for that after the session today. Let's see. We also got feedback that you guys would like to connect with each other more. So we will be sharing a list of basically everybody's name, email, and organization so that you guys can get in contact with each other. So if you would prefer your information not be shared on that list, just please email me. And I'll put my email in the chat in case you guys don't have it yet. So the first thing we're going to do is go around, and I just want everybody to kind of introduce yourself. So you can say your name, your title, so either your students or your master's or PhD, or if you're in a job, list that. Tell your organization, and then what you hope to get out of this program. And I am pasting that in the chat so you guys have it. So I'll go first, and then I'll go around, or I'll go down the list. So again, my name is Megan Heaphy. I'm with the Georgia Bioed Institute, being the project coordinator, so I handle teacher trainings. But I am here to support you guys. I've done some teaching at Georgia State, Gwinnett Tech. I was a high school science teacher for 9 years, so education is really my passion, and bringing science to students. So I'll go through the list. I'll skip Christina, unless Christina wants to hop on real quick. No? She's busy. It's cool. Let's see. Akil is first.
Hi, everyone. I'm Akil, and I am a postdoc in Emory Vaccine Center. I did my PhD from India, and then I moved to US for my postdocs 2 years ago. Yeah. And my expectations from this program is like, I want to work in industry, biotech industry, especially related to vaccine development. So I want a mentor who can guide me my transition from academics to industry. And yeah, that's all.
Awesome. Thanks, Akil.
Thank you.
Alexa?
Hi, I'm Alexa. I am currently finishing my master's at UC San Diego, so I'll be done. And I'm planning on moving to Atlanta this summer. So what I'm mostly hoping to get out of this is a little bit of information about the Atlanta scene. I'm looking into like biotech and bioengineering. And then, yeah, some help navigating that area in those fields.
Biotech and Atlanta. Yeah, we're happy to help. Thanks, Alexa. Let's see, Cameron.
Hi, I'm Cameron. I am a postdoc currently at the Winship Cancer Institute at Emory, and I am hoping to get some sort of feedback on my CV and resume and maybe interview skills, and then hoping to make some more connections in the biotech space in Atlanta.
Awesome. Thanks, Cameron. Falguni.
Hi, I'm Falguni Mishra. I'm a PhD student at Georgia State University, and I'm in the same boat. Actually, I want to learn how to transition from my degree into the industry when the time comes, and need some help in getting my CV together and such. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, well, hopefully we can help with that. Gabriella.
Yeah, hi. Sorry. Just mute here. Okay, so hi, yeah, I'm Gabriela. I'm a postdoctoral fellow at Emory University, quite new to the Atlanta area. My lab really moved here from Ohio last year in October. So I'm looking forward to basically improve my networking, like somebody mentioned over there also. Improve my CV, my resume, and increase, yeah, my networking basically. Thank you.
Awesome. Welcome.
Thanks.
Grace.
Hi, yes, my name is Grace Bendinger. I am a nurse leader at Winship, but also a graduate student at Georgia State University studying biomedical enterprise. Really looking forward to this and the opportunity to get to learn a lot more about the biomed and biotech innovation space in Atlanta. So looking to get better connected into that field, and yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Grace. Jada.
Hi, everyone. Name is Jada Selma. I am a science liaison and studies coordinator for Metasystems Group Incorporated that's headquartered in Boston. Recent PhD graduate from Georgia Tech. And what I hope to get out of this is I got a lot of great career development, particularly from Georgia Bio while I was a student. But what I'm looking for now is really help from a mentor to get guidance on what do you do after you get that first initial job and how you keep growing as a professional in your field.
Awesome. Hopefully we can help. Jasmine.
Hi everyone, I'm Jasmine. I am currently a doctoral student at Emory University in the pathology department. And what I hope to gain is just some insight into getting into biotech, because I'm a few months from graduating, hopefully, and just looking to network with more people in Georgia.
Awesome. Thank you. Is it Kanupriya?
Yeah, hi. Good morning, everyone. Afternoon, actually. I'm Kanupriya Daga. I'm a second-year master's student at University of Georgia. I'm pursuing my degree in biochemical engineering, and I'll be graduating soon. So I'm looking forward to understanding the US market and how the job market flows here, and then work in the industry eventually. So build more network. Looking forward to interact with you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Kelsey?
Hi, I'm a PhD student at Emory Cancer Biology, and I'm, like everyone mentioned, I'm looking to network, but also tailor my PhD experience to more biotech space.
Awesome, thank you. And I should not have skipped Kristen, so I'll let her go now.
Hi, everybody. Kristen Boskin. I'm the director at the Georgia Bioed Institute and work with Megan on pretty much all the programs because we are the staff for programming. And then, as she mentioned, Christina and Ryan are all the operational sides of things, but we're super excited to have you guys here today.
Awesome. Lavinia?
She just said a note that she is connecting from the flow cytometry room, can't do the talking today.
Well, hey, Lavinia, feel free to type in the chat. Michaela? You there? Oh, I don't know that we can hear you. Okay, maybe we'll come back and you can use the chat too. Nathan?
Hi, everybody. My name's Nathan Kirkpatrick. I am a PhD student at Georgia Tech and Emory in the biomedical engineering department. And just like it seems everybody else here, looking for to get some better ideas about how to tailor the hopefully ending part of my PhD career here, and how to do some networking to learn more about the biospace and industry in the area.
Awesome, thanks. See, Ogana just joined.
I've been here.
Oh, you've been here? It popped you to the top. Perfect. You're right on time then.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Ogana Jobi. So I'm a fourth year graduate student in chemistry department. So I want to transit towards a biotech or consulting job. So I want to network, find mentors to guide me along the way, and develop a good relationships too. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Welcome. Next is Oluwag Bemisola. Did I say that correctly?
Yeah, you did a good job. Okay, job.
Oh, thank you.
So hi guys. So my full name is Oluwag Bemisola Aderbebe, but you can call me Bemi. I'm a PhD student studying biomedical engineering at Georgia Tech and Emory. So I'm interested in teaching and mentoring and possibly going into academia. So I'm hoping to make meaningful connections and try to kind of figure out how I can prepare myself to get to that point later in the future. So,
awesome.
Looking forward to you all.
Thanks, Bemi. Raven?
Hi, everyone. My name is Raven Peterson. I am a PhD student studying cell biology here at Emory, and I am hoping to graduate in the next couple of months and am on the market for a job, and that's sort of what I'm hoping for. I think, like a lot of people said, increase my network, but also gain an understanding of what I can do to position myself so that I can get a job more on the management side, like project management, rather than on the bench side in the biotech industry areas. So.
Awesome. Thank you. Let's see. That was Sabrina, right? Sarah? Oh no, there's Sabrina, sorry. I'm losing track because people keep moving on the login there.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah. No, I'm Sabrina. I am actually just finishing up my PhD this semester in cell biology at Emory, and I'm looking into working on some of the life science and healthcare problems outside of academia, so really looking to transition into industry and the business space. And I'm hoping to get some more concrete help on maintaining a network, so not just establishing a network among life scientists in Georgia, but helping to maintain those connections. So I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome, thanks. Okay, Sarah?
Hi, my name is Sarah Blumenthal. I'm a second year PhD student at Emory's neuroscience program. So I'm still a few years off from graduating, but I wanted to begin to look into what non-academic careers would look like for me and just see if that's something I would be interested in. So just this is, for me, is like the first steps in seeing what that would look like.
Awesome. And then Shinjini.
Hi, I'm Shinjini Spaulding, and I'm a third-year PhD in physiology candidate at Augusta University. And what I'm really looking to gain out of this is, as others have echoed, to echo others, is to make a smooth transition from academia to the industry, but also make sure that I have developed all the transferable skills I need, and to establish and maintain a network. Thank you.
Awesome. And Ju?
Hi, my name is Ju, and I got my master's degree from UGA in biochemistry. And after that, I worked a little bit at Emory University as research specialist. And now I'm a PhD student at Georgia State University, working on the development of vaccines for influenza. And I still have a few more years to go as well, but I would like to expand my network.
Yeah, never too early to start. Awesome. And let's see, Michaela Mickey is having mic trouble, so there's an intro in the chat. Welcome. Ryan, would you like to introduce yourself? Just got us on in the background. No worries. We'll meet Ryan later. Did I miss anybody else? I think I got everybody. Awesome. Well, in a second, we'll let Miss Christina Mosteller Hall introduce herself, and then she can start on the CV session. So just as a little reminder, I'll put toward the end, I'll put in the submission link, but I'll also send it out in an email after the session. And then Jada Selma will be helping Christina to monitor the chat. So that way you don't have to keep your eye on it. So with no further ado, I introduce Miss Christina Mosteller Hall from Georgia Tech, and she will be covering CVs today. Thank you so much.
I'm so excited. I think that's the first time I've been introduced to a group of people as being from Georgia Tech. So this is super exciting for me. So I am very new to this position at Georgia Tech, but I've worked in the career development sector for about 13 years now. I worked at Purdue University, Fort Wayne, and then also the University of California, Santa Cruz. California is really beautiful, but most of my family is from the southeastern United States. And I think like so many of us with COVID, I sort of felt like I missed them with all the restrictions and everything else, and that ended up fueling my decision to move back down here. And in case you wanted, my whole biography as well, let me look for my screen here. Just a second. Okay, so I can share my presentation. Yay! And we'll crank this guy back to the top and play. All right, how's it looking on? You see me?
It's not sharing.
Now?
Oh, wait, now. Yeah, there we go.
Yay! So exciting. Okay. So one of the things you're going to hear me do continuously through this presentation is compare CVs and resumes. I think it's really important to understand what the differences are, and what you might use a CV for, how you might construct that versus how you would construct a resume, even though a lot of the nitty-gritty information I'm going to talk about today does apply to CVs. So basically a CV is something that you would use more for an audience of fellow academics or people that have a background in your field of study, whereas a resume is more appropriate for people from different backgrounds that might hire a lot of different positions. So really with your CV, you're looking to present your full academic history, teaching, research. And when it comes to the resume, it's a little bit more specialized in terms of really focusing on the skills and experience necessary to succeed in a particular position. CVs can be really as long as you need them to be. There's going to be a couple of times where I'm going to mention, okay, this section could get long, or sort of be careful about keeping this information, brief and appropriate. But for the most part, you can really sort of take your time with the CV. Resumes, you want to keep brief. Now, I know a lot of people talk about keeping a resume to 1 page. I think for people with a master's or a PhD, you could probably go to 2 to 3 pages. But again, you want to keep it shorter than what a standard CV would be, right? A CV is really meant to demonstrate your academic or scholarly achievements. And again, a resume is more about specific skills and experiences, job-related, extracurricular things, volunteering, but you're trying to tailor that experience more for the specific position that you're applying to. On a CV, you'll have a list of publications, presentations, teaching experience, honors you've received, grants you've helped the institution gain. On your resume, it's more, again, related to the specific experience. On a resume, you might choose to summarize your list of publications. Instead of having an exhaustive list, you might say, you know, that you have over X number of publications and not really get into each individual title, or summarize some of the courses that you've taught, but not get into each one. Whereas on a CV, I think that they're really looking for that more complete picture. When it comes to references, you list those either on the CV, or I have seen some people do a separate matching page. You know, it has like a similar header to the rest of the CV and then has the references listed on there, but you include them with your application. On a resume, you don't, right? On a resume, they'll ask for them, they'll have a place where you submit it, that sort of thing. Some other differences are that a CV, you can sort of use a little bit more academic vocabulary. One of my examples is somebody that has a master's in education is like the phrase pedagogy, right? Whereas on, you know, an unrelated resume, I might just put teaching style. So kind of being in that frame of mind when you're looking at the differences between the two, right? Is sort of thinking about, okay, on my CV, I can just sort of list my skills as I normally think of them, but in the resume, you may have to make that transition to thinking about the more broad or transferable skills. I hope that makes sense. And again, a CV is more for an insider audience. So this would be people maybe not necessarily that are well-versed in your subspecialty, but definitely have knowledge of your specialty, right? And you can use some of that more technical language versus a resume where, again, you're looking at those broader, more transferable skills. Now, that's not to say that you wouldn't include descriptions where you talk about transferable skills on a CV. It certainly would make sense to do so, but I think it's where most of your focus would be. There's not one perfect way to set up a CV. Sometimes students will ask me for like the template, and there are multiple templates or ways you can lay it out, and that's totally fine. Even when it gets down to sometimes the nitty gritty, when I'm sitting and critiquing a CV or a resume with a student, and they ask for feedback, every once in a while I'll turn back to them and say, well, do you like it? Do you think it looks nice? Because there's certain things that are sort of like hard and fast rules, and then there are other things that really depend on your preference. What's really important though is to make sure you keep yours up to date. I loved hearing that some of you were fairly early in your master's or PhD career in the chat, because I think, well, what a great opportunity to put something together now, so that when you see that job, that internship, that whatever that you might need a CV for, you can have one already put together and just update it instead of feeling like you have to start from scratch. Also, feel free to get samples online or from colleagues to help you get started, right? So looking online, looking at colleagues of yours that maybe are a little bit more advanced in their careers, seeing how they've put their CV together. So some general setup suggestions. I would choose one font and use it throughout. Now, obviously, the font sizes might vary, right? You might make your name larger or section headers larger, but I think just one font would look clean and consistent. 12-point font size is a good standard font. And don't really underline things. CVs are sort of like an old-fashioned straightforward document, right? Like when you see resumes, you'll see things like monograms, graphics, tables, things like that. Sometimes nobody wants to see that on the CV, right? It's just a very straightforward, give me the facts kind of document. Margins are going to be 1 inch all around, whereas a resume, you can get down to that 1/2 inch margin if you want everything to fit on one page or something like that. But again, I think with CVs, it's more about the content and that it's clean, neat, and readable than it having like a flashy or attractive design, right? It's more about what it says. Number your pages, no graphics, charts, anything like that. Again, clean, simple, neat, readable. That's what we like in a CV. And you want to put your name on every page because like I said earlier, CVs are as long as they need to be, right? To get the message across about your skills, your scholarship. And in situations where you might have a printed document, like you need to be able to have your name and the number on each page. Now, obviously, as time goes on, those situations are getting more and more rare, but at this point, we still advise students to do that. All right, so some other sort of basic tips for putting together a CV. You want it to be clear, so well organized and logical, concise, keeping the information relevant and necessary. I think I mentioned it's a little bit of a balance, right? You're trying to build a complete, like it says on the next bullet, portrait of yourself as a scholar and a researcher. But there may be a point where it's like, okay, now we're starting to get into some nitty-gritty details about you or your experiences that are going to actually be beyond the scope of what's needed on the CV. Consistent. Don't mix styles or fonts. And even little things, I think, can go a long way in giving you that neat, clean document. So things like if your dates are going to be on the right side, which in general, I have this preference. I like them on the right side. I don't know why. But make sure that they're that way all the way down, right? So that it's on the right side for your education dates, your job search dates, things like that, because it's going to look strange if, like, for some you have the date on the left side or some you have it on the right side. Little things like that, keeping your spacing, consistent. You just want it to be such a clean document. And then finally, like I said earlier, keeping it current and up to date. So what are you going to put on your CV? Obviously your contact information, right? Your name, your email address, phone numbers, education, honors and awards, professional experience or employment. Mostly that employment that's directly related to your field of study. Publications and presentations, or I should go back and say either directly related to your field of study or shows sort of a significant related skill set, because there may be some things that you do that are a little bit unrelated, but the skill set is so significant, like maybe in terms of your leadership skills or something like that, that you would want to put it on there. Publications and presentations, and then extracurricular and volunteer experience. And I'm going to go through and kind of break these sections down a little bit more for you. Okay. Other sections that you may put on there would be certifications and licensures, professional affiliations or activities, research, and then any kind of added qualifications that you would make sense for you. Some of you may be bilingual. There may be certain, commonly used software programming languages in your field, things like that, that might also, it would make sense to put on your CV. So as far as the education section, include your most education first and include your current program. So some students think, oh, well, if I haven't finished a degree, it doesn't go on my CV. No, the one that you're currently in does go on there. And then get the school's names correct. And I know it may seem absurd that I have listed this on this PowerPoint, but I'm telling you the reason that I've done it is because I've seen school names spelled incorrectly on people's CVs. And so I'm like, no, don't do that. Don't be that person. Also get the correct name of your degree, right? Is it, you know, a Bachelor of Arts, a Bachelor of Science, a Master of Arts, a Master of Science, a Master of Education? Like, what is the sort of official name of your degree, right? You only need to list the completion date for your degrees or certifications. Don't worry about like when you started and when you completed and everything else. That's not really important typically to employers. Often they just want to know when you completed your degree or plan to complete, especially your most recent degree, because typically that indicates when they can hire you full-time. And then obviously list thesis and dissertation titles as well as part of your education section. In your honors and awards section, the same thing. Pretty much any section you go into that you're going to date, it's going to be in reverse chronological order. Same thing with resumes. List the title of the honor and the award, and then the date received, and it can just be the month and year. It doesn't have to be the exact day. You can go back to relevant things in undergrad, but not before. People just assume if you have a bachelor's degree, you went to high school somewhere. They're not really interested in the detail. And if you're going to go back to honors and awards from undergrad, just make sure that they're like academic or professionally related. Scholarships can also count. Scholarships, fellowships, things like that, especially if they show sort of a certain amount of prestige, and the fact that you earned those, that could be really important as well. So when it comes to the professional experience section, it can include any work you were paid to do or extensive and regular volunteer work. So I'll give you an example from my own career. You know, there was a day that I volunteered one day to work at the Salvation Army. I probably wouldn't list that on my CV or my resume. However, back when I worked for Purdue Fort Wayne, I was on the Family Self-Sufficiency Committee for the Housing Authority, and I worked with other leaders from nonprofit organizations, and we put together programs for members of their community on things like, you know, job searching, financial management, that sort of thing. So even though that was volunteer work, I would list that on my CV or my resume as experience, right? Because that was pretty intense. So again, it's less whether you were paid to do something or it was an official position, and more about how relevant are those transferable skills, how much sort of effort did you put in, what did you get out of it, right? Trying to list items, again, relevant to your academic work or that are a really powerful showcase for a transferable skill. List most recent first. I know I say that a lot, but again, consistency, reverse chronological experience, very important on these documents. And if listing research, include the lab, the director, the principal investigator, that's not something you do in a resume, right? So on your resume, you don't list like who your supervisor is, but you do when you're talking about research on a CV. It's just one of those CV quirks. I think it's important in an academic setting, you know, for people to understand who it is that you worked with, sort of who's mentored you, right? When it comes to extracurricular and volunteer experience, again, reverse chronological, this can become a long list for some of you, so just be careful. I think, you know, for example, maybe, again, it has more value if you're part of a professional association, maybe one day you manned the front desk at a conference and handed out, you know, name tags. I don't know if I would necessarily put that on my CV or resume, unless I was very early in my career and really looking to kind of fill in things, versus if I was on a conference committee and helped like with the planning or something like that. So again, it's just sort of use your judgment on what it is that you want to list, and also how much information you have. It's better to have more long-term or very relevant items instead of absolutely everything. And this is a place that you can list student organizations or programs that you've been a part of. When it comes to your professional affiliations or activities section. You don't necessarily have to list every professional association that you've been a part of in the past unless you want to. I think it's a lot more appealing to list those things that are most current. Include the dates of affiliation. Of course, note any leadership positions. That doesn't just mean, in my opinion, like president or vice president or whatever, but it could also be like a significant board position or something like that. Activities, again, I think very similar. I'm just scanning through to see if there's any new and exciting information in here. Keeping it specific to academic and research, you know, school or university sponsored, and again, including your role. For your research section, you want to list the most current research that you've been involved with first. Make sure you indicate others that you worked with. Include grant funding if obtained. That is such an important skill, whether it be in research, academia, industry. The fact that you can get money is really important, right? And then, of course, briefly describing your research. When it comes to publications and presentation section, again, reverse chronological order, use the citation style of your discipline. It's just a little thing that shows your professionalism. All publications should be accurate and complete. Co-authors, journal, issue, title, date. It's one of those things that you just want to double check, have somebody else look over your documents for you. Sometimes, just like any other big piece of writing that you're working on, you can almost get sick of looking at your own CV. And so you'll miss, you know, small errors, or maybe the kinds of things that maybe it doesn't get caught in spell check, but it's actually, you know, spelled incorrectly. It's the wrong usage of a word, little things like that. Bold your name and authorship so that if somebody's just scanning your CV, they can quickly find you. In your citation, include submitted or pending publications or presentations. And that's because just because something hasn't been published yet, doesn't mean you don't deserve at this point to get recognized for the work that you put in to get the article completed. Presentations may be large or small, but pertinent enough to talk about. Sometimes people are like, well, what if I just did a small presentation for my department? Does that count? Yes, it counts, especially, you know, if it's directly related to research and scholarship. But yeah, just know that you can list that too, I guess. Have copies of your publications and presentations for the life of your CV. And so this isn't something you need to include with, you know, an application, but this is my thought. Like, how slick are you if someone's asking you about a publication or a presentation that you were a part of or that you put together during, say, an interview, and you're able to just be like, well, yes, I have that on hand in this file here if you'd like to look at it, or I'll email that over to you after the interview. Like, you would look super good, right? So again, you want to have that information easily accessible for yourself. And all presentations should be accurate and complete. So listing co-presenters, conference, the date, the location, the title, whatever's relevant there. Added qualifications, I kind of touched on this a little while ago, but you really want any additional qualifications to be what we call hard skills. So things that could be verifiable, things I could give you a quiz on, right? So things like language fluency, programming skills, laboratory skills, relevant software. I've even seen on CVs for people in the arts, different media that they were proficient in working with. Like, it really depends on your area. But the idea is you don't want to list soft skills because those can become sort of buzzwordy. You know, if you're like, oh, well, I'm a great leader, I'm a great team player, I'm a great whatever, and you just have that listed under bullet points, it's really hard for me to take you seriously because honestly, anybody could write that. But if you show me through listing leadership experiences, listing projects that you worked on as part of a team, adding bullet points under professional experience, that make it obvious to me that you've used good leadership skills in the past, then I'm going to believe you. So you want to leave like a skills or an added qualification section for things that are a little bit more what we call hard skills. Finally, references. Again, like I said, one of the differences between a CV and a resume is that you always include references, whereas for a resume, I really include references separately or only if they ask. Sometimes you just end up putting it into the application and they don't really, formally ask for it anywhere. But you can either put a references section at the bottom of your CV and then kind of continue on and list them. Or like I said earlier, I've seen people do a separate sort of nice matching sheet that goes along with their CV that has the same header and then a reference section. You want to list, of course, the name of your reference. If there's a special role, like maybe this person was on your dissertation committee, what their role is at the university or at the company that they work for. I made up the Department of Awesome Studies because I couldn't think of anything else to put. So I don't know, hopefully somebody's studying something awesome out there. The person's address and then their email address so that they could be easily contacted. And let me see. I actually pulled up and I stole this, and I'm totally fine with stealing from other universities. Some samples that I thought were pretty good from the University of Illinois, and they give you some basic information on what to put on a CV, and then you'll see here, right, where things that I talked about. You see it's the same font, different
It's not
size.
sharing.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you for saying that to me, or I was going to keep talking like you all knew what was going on and you did not.
I was hoping it was loading.
No, we'll go back. I think it stopped sharing after I stopped the slideshow. But so you can see here, right, that the person has their dissertation title, the members of the committee, like all these little details. They categorize their experience teaching and advising. And then they went into research, specific publications, conference presentations, honors and awards. So just so you could visually see, one of their sections they called professional service, which is very sort of academic terminology. And then they have their references included as part of their CV. And again, research interest, that's sometimes a section that you see that people list on CVs. Grants. So again, I felt like I wanted to show you something because I did a lot of talking in general of things based on the PowerPoint. I thought, okay, well, this will let you look at it. I would say a minimum number of references would probably be 3. Anywhere between 3 to 5 is good. Somebody asked in the chat how many references. If you have extensive mentorship experience, can that go on the resume? And if so, do you list all the names of the students you mentored? I would probably just list the broad skills in terms of mentoring. So instead of listing the names of students specifically that you've mentored, maybe just like, I guess it depends on the situation, but if it's through a formal program, then maybe you could list participation in that program. If it's more sort of informal, then I think that could be something that would be more suited instead of for the CV for like a cover letter and interview to talk about. Yeah, I mean, I think that you can use, okay, sorry, let me continue to read the question out loud and then answer it instead of just talking directly to the chat. Someone asked, what about the university name or school program name when studying in a non-American university? Is it okay to cite it in its original language instead of translating it to English? I think so. maybe have somebody that's a native English speaker, you know, double check that when they look at it, it makes sense to them that this is the name of an institution when they see it. But yeah, I don't see why not. I think a lot of times it's pretty obvious that that's the name of an institution. In industry, people seem to ask for a CV resume, like they're interchangeable. In that case, when do you send a CV and when do you send a resume? I would say send a CV if you're networking with someone and they just ask for a document, like they're just like, oh, can you send me your CV or resume? I would just send them a CV because that has more comprehensive information. I would also send a CV for like research positions, government positions, academic adjacent positions. You could potentially send a CV. But if it's more of like an industry job and you know the specific job that you're discussing, I would send them more of a tailored resume. So I think it depends on how much you know about what they need, and that can help you determine how much you would need a tailored document, which is really more of what a resume is.
And the next one's not really a question. I was just answering too, that a lot of times you'll be applying through some sort of online platform. And so the CV is asked just as a supplement to what you're providing.
You're thinking about online platforms and job searching and everything else. One of my favorite resources online is a website called jobscan.co. And that it's sort of, you put in a job posting and then the contents of your resume, and it matches them and gives you results very similar to an applicant tracking system. So especially like I think of some of you that maybe are applying to very large companies where they tend to be very dependent on their applicant tracking systems and they take in a lot of applications. It's really handy and it gives you a lot of information on how you can better customize your documents. If your project attracts a grant to our lab, do I have to put it on your CV? I mean, you don't have to, but I don't see why you wouldn't. Like, I think that's an achievement, right? Should you always include a cover letter with your CV, even if it isn't requested? I don't know, I would. Because I feel like once you have a cover letter and you kind of get in the flow of writing them, it's pretty easy and it gives them additional information, you know, that may not exactly fit on the CV. So I would throw it in there. I think usually when people talk about like not wanting more information than an application is required, I think a cover letter is kind of taken for granted that would be in there. I think normally it's like, you know, they don't necessarily need you to send in like your transcripts or copies of your work or things like that, that sometimes people send in. I think that's when it starts to get to be too much. What I thought? Jobscan.co. And it's one of those sites that like, I think they give you so many free uses of it. And then they ask you to pay for it or whatever. But I think just a couple of initial uses is enough to kind of give you the idea of, oh, this is how applicant tracking systems, you know, parse data and compare the skills in the job to, you know, what's in the CV or the resume that you've submitted. And again, I would say that's most useful for applying to large companies where they're highly dependent on their applicant tracking systems, right? There's other places where smaller startups, things like that, like they actually, you know, read your documents a little bit more carefully in the beginning, right?
Awesome. Do we have any more questions for Christina? And you guys feel free to join back in with video and shout them out if you want. Awesome. Well, it seems that we have ended questions for now. So I don't know, Christina, would you be willing to share your contact information if they have additional questions later?
Yeah, you can email me right now. I told you I was really new, so you can email me at it's my regular email. If you have any questions about my presentation or anything else, I will be available for appointments if you're affiliated with Georgia Tech, so a current student or an alumni within the last 2 years. But I am not yet, but I have fabulous colleagues, Clarence and Casey, that are currently available for appointments. So they'll be able to talk to you a little bit sooner than me. But you can email me. That's fine. And honestly, I don't care where you go. If you just want to email me a question, that's totally fine with me.
Awesome. Thank
Christina,
you so much.
Do you have any advice? So there are several Georgia Tech students on here, but also a lot of students who are from other universities around the area. Do you have any advice in approaching their career services department for some help in this area as well? And we also have some young professionals who've been graduated for a little while. Where would you say that those folks could go for some CV help? But, you know, would your doors be open to alumni and so on?
Yeah, so I think it varies from institution to institution. So I know, for example, like I said, Georgia Tech works with students 2 years after graduation, and then kind of beyond that, I think those services kind of venture into alumni services and help that is offered through the Alumni Association. Other institutions might have a longer period they work with students through career services, or they might immediately sort of work with them through, their alumni office. It just really depends. But I would definitely consider approaching career services simply because it's considered part of the package of like what you get as a student. So why on earth wouldn't you use those services if they were available to you? And I would say I was very glad to hear that so many of you are interested in networking as part of the reason that you're participating in this opportunity. I think it's so critical. I think especially if you're transitioning into industry, depending on the field that you're transitioning into, people may have more or less knowledge about what graduate or PhD education especially entails, the projects you complete and things like that. I think that the more that you network and tell your story and sort of talk about your transferable skills, the easier it is then for you to be considered for those positions.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I guess we don't have any more questions for you today. So thank you so much, Christina. It's wonderful. And Kristen and I will hang out if you guys have any additional questions about anything else. I see some clappy hands.
Yay! Well, thank you so much.
It's really appreciated.
Awesome.
So each of these, now you're getting all the applause, Christina. Good job. Each of these sessions do overlap a little bit, and one of the reminders was the question about cover letters, and I think that'll be touched on in terms of the LinkedIn cover letter next week when you're reaching out on LinkedIn, and the importance of just a little note of connection as far as that goes. But that just kind of leads into that is our next section, I believe, is your online presence. So that is on Wednesday, same time. And then we'll follow up the next week with the last two sessions. And then one other thing is that we are developing out on the Georgia Bio website a list of some of the job openings in the area. And over the next 6 months, that should be developed out a little bit more robustly. So that'll be another place that you guys can look and hopefully can be a place of connection for you as well.
Yep. And so I will follow up today with an email with the link to the career fair website for you guys to register, as well as the session 1 submission page, where you can submit your updated resume based on what you learned today, resume or CV, and then just document the changes that you implemented. So we'll hang out for the next couple minutes in case you guys have any additional questions, but otherwise, thank you and have your 4 minutes back.